Yum, yum!
Hey, Greg here from Fondue. I've got the one and only William Vaughan up on the upper deck of the convention center in downtown Vancouver by the water here, the bay that Ed's called Vancouver Bay, but we don't know the name of it yet. It is absolutely beautiful here. I have to say, the first time I've been in Vancouver, William, you've been here before, obviously. Yep. So I've been pretty blown away by the city, except for their Wi-Fi capabilities. Not the best Wi-Fi in Vancouver experience, but this is day. It's a seagull. Officially day like 5 or something at Siggraph, right? Maybe it started on Sunday, but for me it's day 3.
Well, Saturday was the official kickoff to get registration and that kind of stuff, but it was Sunday was the real day.
Sunday, okay. I'm gonna wait till this plane takes off. maybe. Okay, we'll just talk loud.
Yes.
Okay. And so, all right. So I've been here like 3 days. I'm wearing my last clean shirt, and my voice is going. But you've been here longer than me. How much clothes do you have left?
Actually, there's a washer and dryer in the house we're in. So
that's right. You rented a house. You got some
yes.
sweet house on like Airbnb or something.
Yes.
That was a good idea.
Yeah, a little bit of a distance, but it's fine. Got a nice running trail right down by the house. Man. Unlike in Florida where it's flat, I'm experiencing very steep hills.
A little bit of that.
Which is a different running experience.
It's a different run,
so,
yeah. Yeah, especially when you don't know exactly when it's going to end, when it's going on a bend or something. So you're the crew from New Balance, correct?
Yep. So Doug, Kayla, Jared, and Chris and I all came out, which is pretty nice because we've been able to split up, and sometimes we'll see some of the sessions together, but we're kind of pooling all the cool stuff that we're seeing.
So speaking of some sessions, you've attended quite a few, I know. Is there anything that jumps out in your head as a really good one this year?
Well, one of my favorites was yesterday. I went to the JPL talk.
JPL was Jet Propulsion Labs.
And
there's like a water airport over here. These planes going back and forth. It says Canada, I guess. Maybe they're going fishing or something. I don't know. Anyway, Jet Propulsion Labs. They were putting on a talk.
Right. So, and what was interesting about the talk was the history of their graphics department.
Okay.
And from the 70s.
So the origin of the graphics department was probably for practical usage at the laboratory.
Right, because they didn't have footage from what was taking place in space, and so they were able to they slowly started getting images and things that they could work with, but then they wanted to visualize to show what was going on in
right. They probably had bad Wi-Fi.
But just here, yes, very. So they they were talking about they didn't have a modeling program or an animation program. They wrote it.
Yeah.
And so their modeling program was.
And what do you mean they didn't have a modeling program? You're not saying they had a program of people at JPL. There was no modeling program.
Yeah, there's no software.
Right, there's no software.
So if they wanted to model even just a quad polygon, they were keying in numbers.
Yep.
And to do a render, they were using a film camera pointed at the screen, and they would go frame up, click.
Right.
Wait, frame up, click. So it's stop motion.
Stop motion.
And so it was, of course it was humbling to think about that because we're so spoiled now.
Oh yeah.
But then also the fact that the blend shader,
the blend shader. So the blend shader, any program you go to, you got Vaughan, blend shader.
Was written by Blend at JPL.
JPL. Right, and I think it's James or John, right? I can't remember, but it's called the blend shader because the guy's name was Blend, and probably wrote that as a simple diffuse and specular mechanism. They probably had some primitive point light or something in their program, and able to get some lighting on that and calculate something very quickly.
Right.
And that's the blend shader, and it's survived more than 70, so this is 45 some years.
Yeah. Well, and just
time to update Maya.
It was just great seeing the progression of where they started, and what they're doing now, and just that I just feel spoiled. I mean, really, I left very humbled, going, how did they pull that off?
Yeah.
And it's just very impressive.
It's a really interesting industry to be in, especially we're probably right around the same age in the past 45, and we're generally older in this industry. We're some of the older guys here, and mostly self-taught. People our age are generally self-taught.
Well, there were no schools,
no schools, anything
books
like
or
that.
Forums.
But there was a whole generation before us, and those are the guys who actually started the industry.
Yeah.
And so you have this whole industry now. This giant conference with there's got to be, I don't know how many people come here. It's got to be over 10,000. I mean, it's a huge conference, but it's a really young industry, and just started a number of years ago. And the guys in the industry who started it, they're still around.
Yeah.
So if you have a Cat Mall Clark surface, the Cat Mall's still
Well, that's
around.
one of the things that they brought up is that all of the people that started this, they're still here.
Still here, yeah.
Everybody that has made our life easier, you can meet at Siggraph.
Yeah, and so you see these badges we have, and some of the old timers, they have these sort of achievement banners like hanging off of them. I bumped into Alan Hastings yesterday or 2 days ago, and he had a number of on there. Then Pete Segal from also at Foundry had his as well, and Pete had, I think, maybe 32 years.
Well, he said he only missed one.
Only missed one since the very beginning. It was the second year. Maybe.
81 was his first year,
Yeah.
and then 83 was the year that he didn't go.
Right.
And then he's been to everyone after that.
So he had more total than Alan, but Alan had hit 32 in a row, so he had the better unbroken streak. But that's pretty amazing, yeah, 32 years. And so again, like being an old timer in the industry almost, we were, in high school when they were attending Siggraph for the first time. So it must be pretty amazing to see that change in the industry since then. Well, anything else jump out at you? The show floor, or any sort of new products or anything?
I mean, it's always great to see the new technology, but I think one of my favorite takeaways from the show are all the personal stories. So, like at the All Stars event.
Yeah, Foundry All Stars event.
I mean, it was great seeing the behind the scenes of Thanos and all of that. But each of the artists that got up and kind of told their story. And I mean, there were several at the All Stars event, but then yesterday I sat in on one Christine from Pixar that went from intern to technical director, and and then there's been several where I don't know, something about it I love.
What was she talking about?
She was talking about how she is where she's at today, and like basically how she
was she a lighting technical director?
No, she was a set technical director, so modeling the props and environments and things like that.
My daughter had attended a technical camp at Stanford this summer. She's 13, and their Pixar had a speaker there as a woman, and she was a lighting technical director. I was just wondering if it was the same person. But nice that they have some women going out and giving talks at these different events and things like that. That's one of the things I have noticed, and I have no consecutive streaks at Siggraph, but I did start going over 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, and there's definitely more women here today in 2018 than there were back in the day when we were using SGIs and things like that. It seems like, at least from your perspective, your point. Especially you're working in an industry, New Balance, where you have people coming over who maybe didn't get into 3D from video gaming and interest, sort of spawning off an interest in visual effects. These are designers and artists, and so do you mind if we talk about that a little bit? Like, how many women come in as looking for work in the design industry that move into 3D?
So, in the 3D production department at New Balance, we have 2 women, and of course, so we have more men than women.
Right.
But from the designer standpoint, it's kind of a mix.
Kind of a mix, yeah.
But what I'm finding, just kind of on the same topic, is that we're seeing more artists from gaming and visual effects interested in some of these other markets,
right?
Like 3D visualization or architectural visualization, especially with like architectural visualization, they're using the Unreal Engine.
Yeah. Right.
And so, somebody from the game industry can go from being, an artist working with the Unreal Engine and Modo and various pieces of software, and then going and not only using the exact same equipment, but being experts in that area, because it's still so new.
Yeah, and it goes both ways, because the gaming industry will often hire people from architecture to build their worlds, and if you're using the same software, whether that's Modo or Maya or Unreal or Unity or all the above, it's a pretty easy job switch. So it's kind of a cool industry to be in when you see this group of people here. and you can leap between different industries in your career path if you want to as you go through life, and use the same tools. It's not an entirely new skill set.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I've been teaching for years, is that this is the type of skill set that you can kind of change your mind on what you want to do. Like, well, what do you want to do? I'm not quite sure. Maybe I'll work in games. Maybe I'll work in film. Maybe I'll do toy design. Maybe, and I've done so many different things in my career, but I haven't had to learn really a new skill set.
Yeah, you've actually had a pretty varied career.
Yeah.
You jumped around quite a bit, but just kind of doing the same things. And actually, people from other industries, I'm guessing, have contacted you as being basically a subject matter expert and bringing you in. Is that how you got in the shoe industry, actually? They just look at this guy, he's the expert in this program. We're not doing characters, which you were sort of famous for, but we're going to apply his knowledge to our shoe design.
Yeah, I mean, if you had asked me a few years ago if I was going to work at a shoe company, I'd be like, why? like
it would assembly line.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if times got rough, I guess I could lace the shoes. But yeah, I mean, just that idea. But for me, it's always about. I like to go and work on things that haven't been done before.
Right.
So, using 3D for toys, or when I did children's books and I used 3D for children's books, and it was just like that excited me, and also just the opportunity. At my core, I'm an educator.
Yeah.
So the idea that I had this opportunity to come in and train designers to take their 2D designs and do 3D visualization.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I bumped into another moto user here at Siggraph after the Innovation and Modeling Conference, Kane Hagop, and I've known Kane for years, and I still can't get his last name right. My last name is hard enough, but Kane's is like off the charts. But in fact, that's why he goes by Kane. But so Kane has been just one of the leading guys in medical biotech animation for probably 10 years. As a heads of department in San Francisco. But he's wearing a shirt with these children's book characters that he had created, because he's, branching out, and it's the same skill set. And I think a lot of people getting into this industry, they're probably enamored by games or movies and things like that. But they do wind up in different areas, and I think knowing that going in, there's a bit of a safety net in a career move if you want to learn some of these tools, because there's a broad variety of industries, in doing this. And my kids, my son's a junior in high school. I'm like, look, learn Adobe Creative Cloud. Because whatever you end up doing, if you're the guy who can jump into Photoshop and fix something, or go into Premiere and fix something, or knows how to run Media Encoder without, it's kind of like hooking up the projector, right?
Right.
It's a skill set that adds to your viability at this company. So there's a lot of that type of cross-pollination going on here.
My goal was always, I don't want to lift heavy boxes.
Don't want to lift heavy boxes.
And I've successfully done that. Really, I want to be creative. I want to, create things, and I don't see myself as a technical person. I see myself as an artist. Uh-huh. And as long as I'm not lifting heavy boxes, I'm a pretty happy guy. So.
I've had a few of the heavy boxes jobs back in college, and similar thing. In fact, I tease the kids in high school now, and I coach track, and you're a runner. We have to clean up the track before the first meet, and so they're pulling weeds out of the track and stuff. I'm like, get used to this if you're not going to college. This is your career path. But on the other hand, at 3 a.m. when I'm trying to get render done, I'm sometimes wishing I was just lifting heavy boxes and going home at 5. So some downsides.
Yeah.
Okay, so you gave a presentation at Innovation and Modeling. That was really good. That'll be up online fairly soon, and Founder is sort of taking care of that. And are you going home today?
Going home tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Bright and early.
Bright and early. All the way back to Florida. Ed, who's filming this here, Ed Ferrari from Foundry, he's going back to Florida. You're not leaving until like 10 o'clock tonight, right? So you'll be back. Well, you can be back like at 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
You can't sleep on plane.
Catching a red eye.
But yeah, so doesn't that pretty much waste your Friday?
Yeah, I'm going to be
that's why I didn't want to do a red eye. I was like, I don't want to waste my Friday.
Yeah.
I'd rather, if anything, I'll be able to, watch some movies on the plane and
right.
catch up on some of the films that I haven't seen.
I didn't think things through. I should have done that.
I would suggest Thor Ragnarok if you haven't seen that. That's really funny.
Yeah, I've seen that. That was a fun one. That was actually my favorite of the three.
I think that's my favorite Marvel movie. I was telling Ed about that. And I noticed Julian, who was at the Innovation and Modeling Conference, I just went to his ArtStation page to kind of click around. He worked on that.
He worked on it.
Yeah, he had some concept art from Ragnarok on there. And actually, I thought it was a screen capture from the movie. I was in a laptop, so it was kind of small. His lighting is so perfect. I thought we had Thor and Loki there. And I thought, oh, yeah, just why do you put a screen capture from the movie on his ArtStation page?
Well, when he was saying he does those things in 2-3 hours, and I looked at it and I'm like, okay, that's a finished painting.
Yeah.
And he's and the way he described it was great. He was just so fun where he's just like, yeah, you know, and then blah blah blah.
Right. Right.
Like, can I get some of that blah blah blah? Because those paintings are just beautiful.
Well, why don't we wrap up with that? Like, there's a couple things we've seen here. One is the artists are getting faster, a lot faster, and the tools are letting you go a lot faster. So you have guys who are experts and professional artists, and they crank out stuff 2-3 hours. We've also seen stuff like Alchemist from Algorithmic, and a bunch of other places, they're using machine learning and things like that to augment that process even more. And so the design phase and the concepting phase, I don't care if you're in games or visual effects or product design, there's going to be a huge amount of possibilities to choose from. Like, how do you see that changing the industry?
Well, first, of course, you're going to be able to produce content faster. But I think it's just going to give you, as a creative, it's just going to give you that much more freedom, right? You don't have to get bogged down in some of the technical aspects, and you can, you know, get more variations under a shorter period of time. And
do you think there's a downside to that? Do you think there's maybe too much sometimes? With the concept artist gives you 16 variations and 7,000 from the AI. Who's the decision maker? Maybe.
Well, at some point, somebody's got to pare that down.
But there'll be a machine for that too.
Yes.
That's right.
So I don't think you can ever have too many, choices to look at. You just have to. It just means you're going to have to, pare them down faster.
You can definitely spend too much time on ArtStation looking at that stuff, though.
Yes.
I must have 3 or 4 ArtStation tabs open on my computer at one time, because I'll see something I like that I just kind of keep it open for a while because I don't want to forget about it. I want to go back and look at it. And I'm just super excited to be a part of this stuff right now. I kind of feel like the floodgates have finally been unleashed. Everything's within sort of budgetary reach of people. And back in the old days when I was in video production, an HD Digibeta HD deck was like $150,000. So nobody did HD video unless you had the money. The camera's like even more. So it was a very small group, and yes, there were some creative people in that group, and there was some good stuff. But honestly, when video became available to everybody, more cool stuff came out. The cost of 3D has come down. The cost of hardware has come down. If you're motivated and you want to be in this industry, there's really nothing stopping you.
Yeah. I mean, the tools are there, but also just the resources to learn the tools.
Yeah. With
the communities like Slack, Discord, the forums.
Yep.
Videos galore, and just everything is there.
Videos galore, 500 plus. William Vaughan. I noticed one go up this morning. Did you preload those, or did you actually pop one in from that?
There's some preloaded action going on there. I'm taking a break this week.
Okay. All right, just checking. All right, well, let's wrap it up so we can get back to the show 4. And it was nice meeting you in person for the first time. By the way,
it was crazy because we were talking about it as we realized we hadn't even met each other in person.
Really, it's weird. Yeah, it's weird, but it's great meeting you.
It was
in
the first time
person,
I think I met Ed in person as well.
Yep.
But it doesn't feel that way
actually,
because of Skype calls. And,
it's a modern world.
Yep.
Meet space. All right. All right. Take it easy. All right, Ed. Awesome. Nice finish.
Yum, yum!